I still remember the sound of my own heartbeat as I unlocked the front door that Thursday afternoon. I was never supposed to be home before sunset. My business trip had been canceled because of a sudden storm, and instead of calling my wife, Emily, I thought I would surprise her with flowers and her favorite cheesecake. The house was unusually quiet, almost unnaturally still, as if every room was holding its breath. I smiled while stepping inside, expecting to hear music or the television. Instead, I heard soft laughter coming from the living room. I walked toward the sound, completely unaware that the next few seconds would divide my life into two chapters. Before that moment and everything that followed, as I reached the doorway, time seemed to freeze. Emily was asleep on another man's lap. His fingers rested gently in her hair, while he leaned back on my couch as though he belonged there. My first instinct was pure rage. Every nightmare I'd ever imagined crashed into reality at once. The bouquet slipped from my hand and hit the hardwood floor. Neither of them noticed me immediately. My heart screamed for answers, but my mind begged me to stay silent. Years of marriage, thousands of memories, countless promises, all of them suddenly felt fragile enough to disappear with a single breath. I quietly stepped back into the hallway, hidden by the wall, tried to understand what I had just witnessed. I should have stormed in. I should have demanded an explanation. Instead, I stood there listening. The man spoke first in a calm voice. "She finally fell asleep," he whispered. "She's exhausted." His words confused me. Emily had barely been sleeping for weeks because of constant nightmares after her mother's passing. Still, nothing explained why she was lying on another man's lap inside my home. I pulled out my phone and recorded a short video without entering the room, not because I wanted revenge, but because I suddenly feared no one would ever believe what I had seen. Then I noticed something else. Emily's eyes were swollen, as though she had spent hours crying before finally falling asleep. I quietly left the house before either of them noticed me. Sitting in my car, I replayed the recording again and again. Anger fought against confusion. I called my best friend, Marcus, but hung up before he answered. I wasn't ready to hear anyone else's opinion. Instead, I drove to a nearby coffee shop and tried to think logically. Emily had never given me a reason to doubt her. She had stood beside me through bankruptcy, illness, and years of financial struggle. Yet the image of her peacefully resting on another man's lap refused to leave my mind. Every explanation sounded impossible, but every accusation felt incomplete. When I finally returned home 2 hours later, the stranger was gone. Emily greeted me with surprise, wrapping her arms around me as if nothing unusual had happened. "You're home early," she smiled, but I noticed her eyes avoiding mine for just a fraction of a second. I asked simple questions about her day, while carefully watching every expression on her face. She answered naturally, almost too naturally. Not once did she mention that another man had been inside our house. That silence hurt more than the scene itself. If there was an innocent explanation, why hide it? That single unanswered question echoed inside my mind long after we went to bed. Sleep never came. Around midnight, I quietly picked up Emily's phone while she slept beside me. I had never invaded her privacy before, but trust had already been cracked. Surprisingly, there were no suspicious messages, no romantic conversations, no secret photos. Everything appeared perfectly normal. Then I noticed an unfamiliar contact saved only with the initials AR. There were several missed calls, but almost no text messages. Before I could investigate further, the phone suddenly lit up with a new notification. It wasn't from AR. It was from an unknown number that simply read, "She still doesn't know the whole truth. Tomorrow changes everything." The next morning, I decided not to confront Emily. Instead, I followed her after she left the house. She didn't go to a cafe or a hotel. She drove to a private rehabilitation center on the edge of the city. Minutes later, the same man from my living room arrived and walked inside carrying a thick folder of documents. My confusion deepened. Was this some elaborate affair, or was something far more complicated happening behind my back? I parked across the street, watching the building in silence, unaware that before the day ended, I would uncover a secret that had been hidden from me for nearly 15 years, and it would change everything I believed about my marriage. I waited until Emily and the man disappeared inside the rehabilitation center before following them. My emotions were still tangled between anger and confusion, but I knew barging in would only make things worse. From the reception area, I watched them enter a private counseling room. Before I could take another step, a woman wearing a doctor's badge approached me. "You must be Daniel," she said softly. "Emily told us there was a chance you'd come today." My heart skipped a beat. She handed me a sealed envelope with my name written across the front. My hands trembled as I opened it, realizing my wife had been keeping a secret, but not the one I had imagined. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter. Emily explained that the man I had seen was Adam, her older cousin, the only person who had stayed by her side after her mother's death. For weeks she had been secretly attending grief therapy because her nightmares had become unbearable. She admitted she hadn't told me because she felt guilty, believing I was already overwhelmed trying to save our struggling business. The afternoon I came home early. She had broken down emotionally during therapy. Adam had driven her home, and while they talked about her mother, exhaustion finally overcame her. She fell asleep on his lap, like she had, as a frightened child years ago after family funerals. Even after reading the letter, one mystery remained. What about the anonymous message saying, "Tomorrow changes everything"? The doctor smiled gently before leading me into another office. There, I found Adam waiting beside a thick stack of legal documents. He immediately stood up and apologized. "I know how everything looked," he said. "If I had known you were coming home early, I never would have stayed." Then he pushed the documents toward me. They weren't love letters or secret financial records. They were adoption files, family history reports, and DNA results connected to Emily's late mother. The truth was about to become even more unbelievable than my worst suspicions. Adam revealed that shortly before Emily's mother passed away, she confessed a family secret she had hidden for decades. Emily had a younger biological brother who had been placed for adoption as an infant because of desperate financial circumstances. For years, their mother searched quietly but never found him. Before she died, she begged Adam to continue the search. Months earlier, they had finally located the missing brother through a DNA registry. The anonymous message wasn't a threat at all. It was sent by the investigator coordinating their first reunion. Emily had wanted to tell me after everything was officially confirmed, hoping we could meet her brother together as a family. The following afternoon, I stood beside Emily as the reunion finally happened. The room filled with tears before anyone spoke a single word. Her younger brother, Michael, looked at old family photographs with trembling hands, recognizing features he had spent his entire life wondering about. Watching Emily embrace the brother she never knew existed erased every dark assumption I had carried since walking into my living room. Shame settled heavily inside me. One shocking image had convinced me I understood the truth, when in reality I had seen only a single moment completely removed from its painful context. That evening, Emily and I sat together on our back porch as the sun disappeared beyond the trees. I finally admitted that I had seen her asleep on Adam's lap and had immediately assumed the worst. Instead of becoming angry, she quietly reached for my hand. "If our marriage is going to survive," she whispered, "we have to promise each other something. No more protecting one another with silence." She was right. Secrets told with good intentions can still grow into walls between two people. From that day forward, we agreed that honesty, even when painful, would always come before fear. Looking back now, I realize the moment that nearly destroyed my marriage became the very moment that saved it. I walked into my home believing I had witnessed betrayal. Instead, I witnessed grief, family loyalty, and a woman carrying unbearable pain without asking for help. That single misunderstanding taught me a lesson I will never forget. Our eyes can deceive us, but patience has a way of revealing the truth. Sometimes the most shocking thing isn't discovering someone else's secret. It's discovering how quickly your own fears can rewrite reality before you've heard a single word.